What's up, guys? Thank you for showing up for another week of the Let's Talk Q&A live show. This is the weekly show where we do the Q&A show live. We try and do it every single week, that is, at least. And I want to say what's up to everybody who's already in here. Acurious of Movies, Kevin Kruger, our channel director, our channel bankroller, Mr. Smelly Potato, Johnny Balls asking if I'm going to answer his question. And yes, Johnny Balls, I will answer your question tonight. The Dark Knight's here. What's up, Batman? Glad to see that you're still around. Are you still accepting channel members? Always accepting channel members. We have a friends of the channel tier, producers, directors, and bankroll members. Yeah, so for $1 extra per month, you guys can sign up and you'll get some extra videos. You'll get the videos early. Well, actually, no. If you sign up, you get the extra videos. Producers are higher, get the videos a little bit early. But you don't always have to sign up. I appreciate all the channel members that do, but it's not something that we don't try and push it too hard because I know money's tight and all. But if you do want to help out the channel, it is always appreciated. And we're gonna answer a bunch of questions tonight. Mr. Smelly Potatoes physical media question is one I'm really excited about. We're gonna also be doing the Adam Sandler tier list, kind of doing it live, not like with that website that everybody else does it. So it'll be a little bit different than usual. Accurate Movies asked, should there be a Star Fox movie? There should be at some point. I'm surprised actually that they haven't done anything like that yet. I guess there's kind of movies like it. Dark Knight asked if I am a early person or always late. So I'm usually an early person. I try and get to everything early. My wife, though, has always gone out of her way to insist on being late to everywhere. So really creates a push and pull. So at least, we go to work at the same time. So she gets to work a little bit early now, and I have to be on time where I would like to be a little bit earlier. But she's never been great at that. She's never been great. But me personally, I've always been early. It's because a little trauma from when I was a child. My first job, I worked for my dad's company, and he drove me to work. And he used to have to be at work at 4 in the morning. I was 14 years old, and I overslept one Saturday. Like, summer job. I overslept when he was coming to pick me up because my parents are divorced. And when I finally woke up and realized, even though I had work at like 7, I woke up at like 7:15, and I realized, and I called him, and he made me call my boss and quit. And then he made me call back a few hours later and ask for my job back. So it was that was a real negative time. But because of that, now I'm always really afraid to be late to anything. So trauma could be a real thing. Tim's Adventures here, and he wrote, I'm just here to say, John, I'm just here to say hi. John is the man. Best movie critic slash 4K reviewer on YouTube. Thanks, buddy. Tim's a buddy of mine. Just great guy. We love to talk 80s movies throughout the week, and just a great guy in general. Shamrock Balls is here. What's up, buddy? Glad you can make it, David, aka Shamrock Balls. I hope you guys were able to check out me and David's review of The Mask that came out yesterday. That was something I was very proud of, and I think David was very proud of it as well. I truly believe that was probably the best that our show has been thus far. So I know it's a over 2 hour show, but if you guys get the time, maybe if you're walking or something, throw it on the headphones and give it a listen. Maybe you guys will like it. I think it's something that's very, very, very enjoyable. And because this is a physical media channel first, we'll start with a physical media question. What's up, everybody? Chad St. John is here. What's up? Glad you can make it. So actually, this is something that needs to be removed for now. It's for a later question. Let's see, where is Mr. Smelly Potatoes? So Mr. Smelly Potato, our channel bankroll member, asks, what is one thing about collecting physical media you're glad stayed in the past? And one thing you wish they kept? For me, I'm glad the stickers they used to put on all these sides of the case is gone. And I miss the thicker, more sturdy DVD and Blu-ray cases. So it's funny. The thing I always think about first that I'm glad is gone is actually those DVD stickers that you're talking about. I don't know if you guys remember, but like if you bought DVDs back in the day, I mean, first of all, they had those seals that went over everything, so you always like pick it and peel it off. It never just came off in one swoop. Like you always had to like kind of like pick at it, peel that off. Then, God forbid, if it had a slip cover, they put the sale price right on it. They really didn't start caring about packaging like during the DVD and Blu-ray era too much. But then eventually they came around on it. But at the beginning of DVDs, especially, I hated those snap cases. That's one thing I am definitely very glad is gone, are snap cases. Was not a fan of those, and they hung around a little bit. I remember like the Matrix came in it. Driven was one that I didn't like that much. But for the most part, when they got those thicker DVD black cases, I was a fan of that. And like 4K cases, like especially like the Region B 4K Blu-ray cases are like the second coming of that. But we don't get like how we used to get those hard DVD. I thought Blu-ray cases were terrible. And then when they came out with those recyclable Blu-ray cases where you came on the inside and it had the recycle symbol, it just felt so cheap. Like even if it wasn't a $5 Blu-ray, that did not feel like a premium disc. And that's one thing I'm glad, like at least a 4K Blu-ray, like Warner Brothers still likes to put out cheap 4K discs like every once in a while, but at least for the most part, 4K Blu-rays feel very premium. So that's one thing. Let's just check the comments real quick because Mr. I love to talk about The Mask. It'll be sad when you run out of Jim Carrey movies to talk about. LOL. Well, with the way that David sets up our schedule, I don't think we'll run out of Jim Carrey movies until at least like 2030, 2031. We probably do like one Jim Carrey movie a year. We were talking about this earlier because David's actually a big fan of the Cable Guy, like I am as well. Tim's here. That's right, buddy. I gotta go. Thanks for the kind words. Talk to you soon. And yeah, buddy, enjoy the rest of your night. Uh, yes, Uncle Charlie, I will be doing your question tonight. That's a good question. That's one I have all geared up. And Chad says, I was always annoyed with one of the stickers ripped a little bit on the exposed label. Yeah, those stickers drove me nuts. And like, I hated like you'd always ask, like, and people be like, I think it was like nail polish or like glue remover could get it off and it would still look clean, but you never got it like back to like where it looked completely clean. And it was unnecessary to do it like that, but they just didn't really care about it. I felt like they cared more about like VHSs, and VHSs came in the worst. Like it, for the most part, came in those cardboard that is peeling away, but it still kind of worked. Like you didn't really care too much about that. It kind of gave it this like distinct look. But I always hated like DVDs, especially that era, where they just slap the stickers on every single side. And then God forbid you were buying used. If you were buying used, it was 10 times worse. So that was one thing I'm glad we left behind. But one thing I wish that they still kept around is, if you guys remember Scream Factory Blu-rays, they used to have, well, Blu-rays were in cases in general. This was the cool thing about Blu-ray cases, is that they were essentially see-through. And you could do reversible cover art. So what Scream Factory used to do was they would have interior cover art. So the exterior, it was the same thing. On the exterior, you'd have like the artwork for the outside. Think a Shocker if you had that Blu-ray. And on the inside, it would just be like this one big piece of art. And you took the disc out, you took whatever paperwork was on the inside, and it would look beautiful. And when we went to 4K Blu-rays, it was back to solid black, and it wasn't see-through anymore. And we kind of lost the interior box art that I really did appreciate. It was just made it a little bit funner. To like, when you opened up, you didn't just see just plain old black. There was something else there. It would have been even cooler if like they went to 4K Blu-ray and they decided to go like the route of like maybe like a smoky gray. Me and Matt used to talk about that. A good smoky gray color. You can see through that. And then you can bring back the interior cover art. I just thought that was something that was really cool that we kind of lost. But I thought that was a great question. That was one I was definitely looking forward to answering. Is there anything you guys think we should bring back, that you guys miss about physical media from back in the day? Like, obviously, I think packaging nowadays is just 10 times better. Has Jim Carrey's The Mask made such an ineligible mark that they will never make a dark version of the story as a streaming program and or movie? So yeah, what Accuracy of Movies is referring to is like The Mask in general. If you guys have seen 1994's The Mask, it's a comedy film, but it's actually a comic book film. It's based on a Dark Horse comic that was very, very dark from back in the day. And that was initially what that was supposed to be. That was supposed to be like a replacement for Freddy Krueger. They were going to make this dark comic where The Mask, he was a killer. And, he's not really a killer in The Mask. It's much more of a regular old fashioned action comedy. But you might not even realize it's a comic book film. But when you watch the movie, it doesn't come across that way. But they still have that intellectual property out there. They still have The Mask where they can go the route of what it was originally designed to be. But they don't. And why is that? I think it is exactly what Accuracy of the Movies is saying, is that because it's such a popular film, it's almost impossible for them to like reboot it as The Mask and actually tell the darker version of those comics. Where actually, I think they're wrong about that. I would love to see what the comic books are on a good streaming service. I feel like that's something that HBO Max would do very, very well. Do I think we'll get it? No, I don't think we'll ever get it. I just feel like it's actually forgotten about. I was hoping that maybe me and David's podcast would like bring more recognition to The Mask, and then maybe eventually, like I don't really necessarily want them to make a Mask 2. I'm not one of those people that wants a legacy sequel. I saw Dumb and Dumber 2. I know it can happen, so I don't think we need to go that route. But if it did happen, I'd be happy to see it. I just don't think it needs to happen. I'd actually like to see them reboot it and go the comic book route, in my opinion, at least. Let's see what else. This is a good question. Can you please trade one Adam Sandler starring role for one Carrey starring role? That's funny. Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey, I don't really ever remember them like overlapping too much, even though I believe they actually have a show coming out pretty soon on Netflix. If I think I'm correct on that, which is pretty cool because I do love the two of them. My wife's favorite comedian is Jim Carrey. Uh, oh, my Uncle Charlie misses the stamp DVD cases, so I guess I'm on an island of one on that one. Yeah. But yeah, one thing I wanted to say. Let's see, Mister. I thought the Mass comic book I bought a Mass comic book after I watched the movie as a kid, and I was shocked. LOL. Yeah, it's a much, much dark comic. You wouldn't expect that to be turned into a comedy film, but I guess that's just how the writing process works, and you end up with a gem, in my opinion, because The Mask is one of the best comedies of the 1990s, so it wouldn't have worked out. But what was I saying? Because I just jumped off topic. But swapping a Jim Carrey role for an Adam Sandler role, Jim Carrey, I think, could probably pull off The Waterboy very well. It would be a very different movie, but I think that would be it. And Adam Sandler, what kind of Adam Sandler movie could I see? The Truman Show? Adam Sandler, when he does drama, does a good job, and I don't think he's ever really given enough shots at it. And I feel like he gets a little bit upset because he gets the recognition, I feel like, from the fans, but like the critics and the Academy, they won't like when he did Uncut Gems. He really should have been nominated for an award for that. But that just goes to show you how they just view comedy as a less than unfortunate medium or genre in the world of film, which is really a shame because comedy is one of the hardest things to do. Ask any comedian. Doing drama is easier than actually doing comedy, and that's pretty offensive that that's how they view comedy, because comedy is, personally to me, one of my favorite genres out there. I can always get into a comedy, and I know I might have a little bit of a dumb sense of humor, but I still love a comedy, a good comedy. So I think you could swap those movies out. And I want to make sure I do Kevin Kruger's question because this is a good one. But I got to make sure I remove this. How would you rank the A24 movies in your Blu-ray collection? Have too many. Huh. I don't really have too many A24 movies, but I do have some funny stories about some A24 movies. So let's talk about the ones I have. And at the bottom, I have Showing Up. I actually reviewed this here on the channel last year. It's a pretty good movie. I don't know if I'll be revisiting this movie. This is one I actually am on the fence about keeping in my collection. I'm cleansing the collection at the moment for a video I'm doing this week. And I'm like, I like this movie, but I don't know if it's one I'll ever really go back to. The message is good about an artist's struggle, and I appreciate that. The 4K Blu-ray, I don't think adds too much to the film, so I'm on the fence about that. And right now, I have that at the bottom. Next up was a gift from channel director Uncle V, Midsommar. I love Midsommar. This is a movie, the first time I saw it, I was pretty shocked by it. I loved Ari Aster's first film, Hereditary, a little bit more than I loved Midsommar, but Midsommar's opening act is actually incredible. Very, very, very dark, but he really went there with it, and I really did appreciate that. And then, the rest of the movie, like I love how it's set in the daytime. Not many great daytime horror films. And this one, there's a few really shocking sequences in there, building up to a very shocking end sequence, but that's also beautiful. Now, what upsets me and why I have the Blu-ray so low is it's the Blu-ray. Sorry, guys. I actually remember last week I told you guys I was sick. I have bronchitis, so my voice is not the greatest right now. But hey, the show must go on. I'm on an inhaler. I should get better within the next couple of days, but talking a lot, get a little lightheaded. And now another version, like I just have the Blu-ray of Midsommar, so I would like that 4K Blu-ray. I don't love the packaging. We'll talk about that in a second. But one thing is the second sight 4K Blu-ray of The Witch is probably, I can't say for a fact, but I have the original 4K Blu-ray came out, but Robert Eggers has said that the correct color timing is done on the second sight 4K Blu-ray, which I do not own. So I unfortunately cannot compare. One day I will grab that second sight 4K Blu-ray to compare to that 4K Blu-ray. I thought the Witch 4K Blu-ray that I own is fine though. And next up, I have The Lighthouse, and I just hate this packaging. Also, this is where I messed up. This is not a 4K Blu-ray. This is just a Blu-ray of The Lighthouse. When they released the 4K Blu-ray, I thought I pre-ordered The Lighthouse on 4K Blu-ray in this exact packaging. And then I got it, saw that it was just the Blu-ray. Immediately I wanted to blame A24 and say that they screwed up. They didn't screw up. I screwed up, and I ordered the wrong thing. And unfortunately, that means that I don't have the Lighthouse on 4K Blu-ray. And I've been on the fence, so I just rebuy this on 4K. And the reason why I'm thinking of just buying the Arrow Video version on 4K Blu-ray is I'll have all the extras right here that aren't the Arrow Video exclusive ones. And I really hate this packaging because when I start running out of space, like, what do I do with this? There's like, it doesn't even stand up well. Like, there's really no way, there's no practical thing about this. I mean, it's cool, like, it looks cool in your hand, but I don't know. It needs to be thicker and wider for it to like fit a little bit more comfortably on your shelf. It's just a shame to say that because The Lighthouse is still my favorite Robert Eggers film and probably one of my top two favorite A24 films. Next up, I got Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, this is the original 4K Blu-ray that came out. This isn't like, I think this was like distributed by Lionsgate, I want to say. This is the Best Picture winner from a few years ago by the Daniels. This is a fantastic, extremely entertaining film that's still surprised that it won Best Picture. It doesn't feel like your stereotypical Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards. Either way, or I was happy to pick up the 4K Blu-ray. The movie itself is still very enjoyable. The messaging in the movie is fantastic. 4K Blu-ray is pretty decent. Next up, I actually have an A24 store exclusive 4K. Actually, no, it's just a Blu-ray, not a 4K. This is the Blu-ray for I Saw the TV Glow. This movie is fantastic. If you haven't saw I Saw the TV Glow, I highly recommend this movie. One of the better movies of 2024. The message, I mean, this one, the ending will break your heart if you know what the ending of this movie is about. I just wish this was a 4K Blu-ray. I don't understand why they didn't go the 4K Blu-ray route with it. It's a beautiful looking film. The Atmos track is great. You can still experience that on Blu-ray. That's why it's so low, is that it's just the Blu-ray. Before we go on, just want to make sure I check the comments. Accuracy movie said, I'm excited for the A24 horror movie Acid Mountain. It's a very dark story and is getting delayed 6 months. Melissa Leo stormed off the set. Are you excited for that one? I didn't know that she stormed off the set. So yeah, I'm excited for it. But when is it delayed to? That's very disappointing to hear. Mr. Smelly Potato, I'm looking forward to the new A20 movie called Friendship. I am also looking forward to Friendship. Do you think the Knicks will sweep the Pistons? I hope so. I don't think so, though. The Pistons have always, for the amount of time that the Knicks and Pistons rivalry has gone up since the Reggie Miller days in the 1990s, I feel like the Pistons have always just kind of had the, I'm thinking of the Pacers, but no, the Pistons have always kind of also played the Knicks pretty hard. Do I think we'll sweep them? No, it's just not the Knicks. It's not the Knicks' way to sweep the teams. They'll probably even make it close. I hope so, though. The Knicks have, I know that you're probably a big Pistons fan, Kevin, so you don't want to hear me say things like that. And, at least one of us, I knew you were a Pistons fan. I know you're a big Detroit. One thing we can agree on is the Lions. But in this case, I do love the Pistons. I remember what year did you guys win at? 2004. I love that Pistons team when you guys had Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. Did you guys have Chauncey Billups at that time? That was one of my favorite teams, the bad boys in Detroit up there. Better than the 80s bad boys. So I love those Pistons teams. Obviously, our team's going to be going head to head right now, and I'll be rooting for my Knicks to beat your Pistons. But hey, if the Pistons get by, I'll be happy for you, buddy. Make In the Line of Fire 2 a reboot or a series. I would reboot in the Line of Fire if I'm being honest with the modern day world. I just don't think you can get a sequel out of that. So I would think that a reboot would definitely be the better route to go. We had a big turnaround this year. Yeah, the Pistons definitely did. They definitely improved a lot, and I'm happy to see that. That's one of those franchises I'm always happy to see do well. I like Detroit in general. I realized that today because I was watching the Yankees play the Tigers this past week, and I also have Struble on my fantasy team, and he finally gave me a good start against the Yankees, thank God. But I like the Tigers a lot too. I think Detroit has a lot of classic franchises up there. I always root for the Lions. I've told you guys in the past, if I had my choice, my dad picked my teams. It was kind of he passed his franchises down, and if I would have had my choice, I would have picked the Lions. When I first got into football, Barry Sanders was the king of the NFL as far as running backs go. And I love the guy. The guy made me a fan of football was Barry Sanders, my first favorite player, and then he retired pretty much right away. He was still on top of his game, but I wanted to be a Lions fan, which of course, the Jets and Lions, who's really the better franchise? They both suck, right? But look at it now. The Lions are a much better run franchise, especially compared to the Jets, which is probably the worst run franchise in the NFL. So Martin Short for Barney. If Rick Moranis said no, that's a good one. Definitely Martin Short could pull that off. That's definitely right in his wheelhouse. That's for sure. I was talking about the movie Clifford starring Martin Short this past week. Him and Charles Grodin. That movie is very underrated. I saw that movie thinking it was Clifford the Big Red Dog back when I was a kid, and I was definitely in for a very different movie. I love that film. What's your next 4K review? Well, I was expecting to get King of New York today on 4K Blu-ray. It says it's not going to be here till Monday, but that's still going to be the next 4K Blu-ray review for Tuesday. This week's videos are that 4K Blu-ray review for King of New York. I will also have my director's reviews this week, directors and bankroll members reviews, and then there's going to be a video about how I curate my collection. That's also going to feature David, aka Shamrock Balls, in a supporting role as well. So that was actually because that video is coming out because I think I just got it in the mail. I haven't even checked yet, but I was supposed to do a Shape of Water 4K Blu-ray comparison, but I needed a replacement disc for that, so that's why it's still sitting right here on my desk. So that video has been delayed a couple weeks, and I called an audible, and people have been asking about my collection and how I curate it. And it was time to organize the collection again. I'm not gonna lie. It was getting a little out of hand. I really wanted to alphabetize things a little bit better and create a little bit. I wanted to put all of my boutique label collections together in the up top and just have it in a more neat collection. It's been a while since I've gone through it and pulled some stuff out, so made the tough decisions, and I made a video about that, and we'll talk about that this week. That's probably going to be Friday's videos. Accuracy of Movie says, would Spike Lee have played Malcolm X if Denzel said no to the role? God, I hope not. Actually, that's one of your questions, Accuracy of Movies, was if Denzel Washington couldn't play Malcolm X, who would I like? I would not have liked Spike Lee to play that role. Love Spike Lee. As far as directors who can also act, Spike Lee is one of the better ones. I mean, he is the star of Do the Right Thing. Is that an Academy Award winning performance in Do the Right Thing? Absolutely not. I mean, I think plenty of other actors would have done a better job. It's good enough in a great movie, if that makes sense. He's better in a supporting role, in my opinion. And I love Spike Lee. And if I could cast somebody else other than Denzel Washington, Denzel said no in 1992. Lawrence Fishburne is probably the only actor I can think of off the top of my head who would be just as good in that role. I mean, I don't think he has the look, but I mean, I guess that's the power of makeup. I don't think he has the look for it, but hey, I would have been definitely there to see Lawrence Fishburne do it. Lawrence Fishburne, I think, is the most underrated actor of all time. I mean, from what I understand, he just had management trouble throughout the 1990s because there's that big gap. Like when he was Furious Styles and Boys in the Hood, the man should have, first of all, won the Academy Award for that. But that is one of the best roles in film history, one of the best performances. Then he does Deep Cover, I think the same year, the next year, and he's incredible in that movie. I mean, one of my favorite noir films of all time is Deep Cover, and it doesn't get talked about that much, but it's got a great Criterion Blu-ray release that you guys should check out as well. Jeff Goldblum is also really good in that movie. And if you like Malcolm X, similar actors kind of cross over in those movies, same exact year. I personally just love Deep Cover. But there's like a big gap until we really get to The Matrix, where things kind of recovered for Lawrence Fishburne. And I just also feel like the guy always captures. He's an actor, man. He's an actor's actor. He captures the tone incredibly of him of whatever film he's in. Like, look at him in the John Wick movies. You could argue that's overacting, but everything in the John Wick franchise is like slightly over the top, so his acting fits perfectly. Get this man a gun. Like, I absolutely love that. In 1997, Spike Lee wants to act in some movie that's not directing. What would you suggest him to act in? That's a good question. Spike Lee's sister is A Kiss Before Dying. Yeah, Spike Lee's sister's not bad. Let's see. What is your opinion on the movie Bully? I don't think I've seen Bully, actually. I played the video game Bully, though. Mo Better Blues is underrated, or do you not know that one? Mo Better Blues is fantastic. I do love Mo Better Blues, and it is very underrated. Again, I've said in the past, a lot of Spike Lee movies are not on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray or stuck in double packs like the 25th Hour and He Got Game. He Got Game is one of the most underrated ones. 25th Hour deserves a ton of more love. Summer of Sam, that's one I was trying to buy the Blu-ray. That's another one you can't really even buy. And that one's written by Michael Imperioli. That's a fantastic movie as well with Donato Pilga. Do you think Vin Diesel is a great actor? No, Vin Diesel is not a great actor. Vin Diesel is a passable actor. Vin Diesel he's fine. Like I like the Fast franchise enough. He's shown that he can act enough in like movies like Saving Private Ryan and Boiler Room. For now he's just known for saying family and feuding with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, which is ironic because they're very similar to each other, in my opinion, at least. Let's see. Lawrence Fishburne was great in some '90s. I really liked it. The Searching for Bobby Fischer and Aquila and the Bee. Yes, Searching for Bobby Fischer is fantastic. That's one that I forgot to mention. That's a great one. It was on Netflix for a long time. Have you seen Knock Around, guys? No, I haven't, Mr. Smelly Potatoes. I don't even think I've heard of that, honestly. I mean, it's not really ringing a bell. But let me continue on in the A24 rankings because we got a couple left. Next up, which is getting a new Second Sight limited edition 4K Blu-ray release, Talk to Me, which I think is one of the best horror films to come out in the last 5 years. These two directors' follow-up is coming out this year, I believe. Talk to Me is fantastic. I mean, I could say so much positive things about Talk to Me, and one thing about it is for sure, like it's based on these guys were YouTubers, and you can kind of feel it. So it's like the next generation of horror, like coming to fruition, and the ending. Not gonna spoil that. And out of these films I have left in my hands, the three films as my top three, A24, and these are all 4K Blu-rays. This is my favorite of them, and I think that this in the last 10 years, this is the best film to come out, and this is Ari Aster's Hereditary. This movie is a masterpiece, in my opinion. This is one that I give a 10 out of 10 to. It's saying so much in the horror genre, and Tilda Swinton did not Tilda Swinton. What am I freaking saying? Uh, but Ari Aster, to his credit, he didn't try and stay on the same path that he was going on after Hereditary. But Hereditary, as far as religious horror, psychological horrors, has one of the most shocking scenes in horror film history. Especially if you saw the trailers and how they set that up. I'm not going to spoil it here because I don't know if everyone's seen Hereditary, but there is a scene that left the entire theater silent and you couldn't hear a pin drop. Everyone stopped eating popcorn because we were not set up for this at all. And then the rest of the movie goes on and it's great. Let's see with this movie. Do you think Dennis will do a Q&A video with you? I think he probably would if I asked him. I would hope Dennis would. His schedule right now, he's away, but every time me and Dennis did a video last year, it didn't really do too well. So I think that kind of hurt his spirits a little bit. But Dennis is always willing to come back, I'm sure, if I ask him. Next up, I got The Brutalist. Now, I actually made a mistake in my 4K Blu-ray review for this because this created a lot of confusion throughout the physical media community. So this technically has HDR on it, but it's only in the menu. When you watch the film, there is no HDR10 in there, no Dolby Vision, and that is a choice by the director. Brady Corbet did not want there to be any high dynamic range. The movie was shot in VistaVision. I guess he has the perfect look that he desired for his film and didn't want them to put HDR on it. So it's the same as the UK release. So there's a lot of people saying that A24's release would have a HDR while the UK release would not. That's from Universal. Well, it turns out they both don't have it unless you just include the menu, which, who cares if that has it. But the 4K Blu-ray, still fantastic. That was one of the biggest selling points for me on the film in general, was the fact that they shot this in VistaVision, an old, 1950s and 60s really technology of the time. Combining that with Technicolor was very unique to that time. Think of movies like Vertigo, and you get shots similar to Vertigo in this movie. Obviously, Brady Corbet, being a film fan that he is, he wears his inspirations on his sleeve, and a movie like this, it just looks absolutely stunning. So that would be my number two. And then number one, not my favorite movie, but this 4K Blu-ray is great. And the visuals, I've gone back to it. I'm sorry, guys, the bronchitis. Heretic. Heretic was a great movie. Again, this movie, it's really a showpiece for Hugh Grant, the second coming of Hugh Grant that really started back with The Gentleman in 2020. Hugh Grant throughout the 1990s, this handsome guy. That's what people remembered about him. This handsome, good-looking, charming guy from, what is it, 3 Weddings and a Funeral. And 4 Weddings and a Funeral, I'm sorry. But from 1994, then through all the rom-coms throughout the 1990s, early 2000s, Love Actually, that's what he was. And then, getting arrested with the prostitute, that was a big deal too. So he became this he was great at interview. But now he's being looked at as a great actor. And I think that's what that movie was. It was a real showpiece for him, but it's a beautiful looking film as well. Really is. So that was a great question. That's my number one. Thank you, Kevin Kruger. I do appreciate that. Before we go on to the next question, I got to tell you guys who won. My favorite A24 movie is The Whale. The Whale, like a lot of Darren Aronofsky movies, is a tough watch. The performance by Brendan Fraser, 110% Academy Award worthy performance. It's a heartbreaking film. It's not one I will probably ever revisit. It's a very hard one to go back. Like The Fountain, I want to revisit because that movie's just so challenging. Like same thing with Pie, but like Requiem for a Dream, that's one like that's another one that's just a really tough watch. Like I appreciate everything about that movie, but it's very hard for me to go back and watch The Whale. But let's see who won the Q&A from last week. We didn't pick that, so let's take a look and see who won the Q&A question of the week for last week. So who won a digital code? 6 days ago, question 1, which was with tariffs. Okay. So it was Rico Gomez's question on tariffs. So Rico Gomez won a digital code. Congratulations. And then at the end of this video, I'll reveal to you guys this week's question of the week. Should Brendan Fraser play Roddy Dangerfield in a biopic? I see what they're getting at with that idea. I think it would be an interesting choice. I don't know. I mean, it'd be tough to see. I don't know if I want a Roddy Dangerfield. One thing about these biopics is I really do feel like a documentary does it more justice unless they make some really like serious creative decisions. Like I don't need one of those play by the numbers music biopics that we get so many of. I like it when they actually make some more creative choices and stick it in like in a time window, kind of like we got last year with A Complete Unknown. I like that was actually trying to do something different, focused on one time period. Stop trying to be so formulaic. I think that is the best way to go. Oh, prosthetics. Yes, you're right. The eyes already. And I think I can see the speech pattern. Like I could see where they kind of get at that. I think when he got a little bit heavier, people could kind of see like in his lower chin that he was probably better at doing that. Fraser does have that buggy eyes of Dangerfield. Yeah, wise. He could be a good choice if there's a movie with Rodney. Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anyone better. That's one thing I'm really horrible at is I could never be a casting director because I can't imagine who you cast in some of these roles. It's just that's one thing I'm like fantasy casting, not something I am very good at in my humble opinion. Make Hustle and Flow 2, go for it. The first Hustle and Flow was fantastic, very underappreciated movie. Sorry, guys. Cold this bronchitis really kicking my ass. What's your favorite Brendan Fraser movie? Good question, actually. Probably The Mummy off the top of my head, but you know what movie I really like with Brendan Fraser? Looney Tunes Back in Action. Very underappreciated Looney Tunes movie. And what was the movie he did? I always forget the name of it. With he gets the 3 wishes. Elizabeth Hurley's the devil, which is ironic. We just talked about Hugh Grant, him and her dated in the 90s. I always forget the name of that movie, but Bedazzled, like something like that. That movie I absolutely love too, from the 1990s. You get it's classic. He gets a bunch of wishes. The devil grants the wishes in the best way that a devil could, which means that the wishes are pretty much I granted them, but they got a twist on them. Like you get this, but you don't get this. Really funny movie. I always kind of get that movie and My Boss's Daughter mixed up. I think those movies kind of have like similar tones to them. I don't know if anyone remembers My Boss's Daughter from the 90s, but that was a really funny one as well, starring Ashton Kutcher, I believe. Maybe it was even the early 2000s, but funny ones. Your thoughts on the most recent episode of The Studio, Seller Mark? Yes, The Studio. I am still in love with this show. I hate that I have to wait, even though it kind of builds up the anticipation to every single Wednesday. But yes, this last week's episode of The Studio was played out just like a noir film. It was about a lost reel of film, which is ironic because, as he brings up, it's a lot like Chinatown. So the episode itself, looking for this lost reel of film about a noir film directed by, this is great as well. What was her name from last year with Strange Darling and everything like that? Not Strange Darling. What was her name? Olivia. I want to say Olivia Spencer, but I know that's wrong. But anyway, the actress who has all that trouble dating Harry Styles on the set. She's pretty good directed Booksmart. But they lost her reel of film, so it's about hunting it down. Hopefully you just told me who it was. Olivia Wilde, Zac Efron thing. That's it. Olivia Wilde. Yeah. So they it's all like trying to solve the mystery of where this real film is, who stole it. So Seth Rogen is essentially the detective in this sense, and they got all the lighting like it's a detective film. I loved it because the set is set up for it to be a detective film. So it's a play on it. Like the episode set up like a detective film while also trying to figure out who actually did it. And Zac Efron has a great cameo. Olivia Wilde playing into what people think about her. Just spot on. Like I said, if you're into the film industry, you are going to love the studio. And on top of that, it's just absolutely hysterical, beautifully shot. It's the best show on TV if we can call Apple TV TV. Ironically, it's called Apple TV Plus, but it's a streaming service. Makes no sense, but I'm absolutely adoring that. So yeah, this episode was fantastic. Like every episode of the show so far has been so much like I always heard from before it even started, like it was like Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it is, but it's also got that classic Seth Rogen, Evan Goldberg sense of humor tied into it as well. So if you guys haven't watched the studio yet, you owe it to yourself because you'll absolutely love it. And let's do the question I think everybody saw in the thumbnail that we're going to talk about. Let's see. I think it was Haunted Pillowcase who asked me to do I believe it was Haunted Pillowcase, right? To do a question on the Adam Sandler tier list. And we're going to look at Adam Sandler's filmography. So we're going to start from the top right here. We'll add it to the stage so you guys could see it, follow along. So right up top, we got Going Overboard. And I created a few tiers. I'm just going to shout them out, whatever I think they should go into. But we'll start at the top would be the great tier, the best of the Adam Sandler films. Second one, all right. Third tier, bad. And then the final tier shouldn't exist. So we'll put them into 4 categories. Right up top, I haven't seen every one of these. Like Going Overboard, I remember that movie. That movie is absolutely terrible. So that one shouldn't exist, in my opinion. Shakes the Clown. Never saw this movie. Coneheads, he just has a cameo. But, you know, if I was ranking that, we'll just say it's all right just because it's a cameo. And the next up, what do we got after that? Airheads. Airheads is really like the first like real starring vehicle. That's one where he teams up with Brendan Fraser and Steve Buscemi. Probably started that great relationship that they had. Airheads is hysterical. I would put that in the all right tier. You know, there should be a tier after great though. I think it should go great, good, and then all right. So we'll say that one I think is just good. Kind of in the middle, nothing too special in my opinion. And let's see what's next after Airheads. Mixed Nuts. I never saw Mixed Nuts. And then Billy Madison. This is where things really start to take off. And you guys will notice that you'll see the screenplay options right here. Well, not options, but he wrote the screenplay for the next 2 movies, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore. I always forget that Happy Gilmore came out in 1996. I always think of them both as coming out in 1995. Yeah, this is one like Billy Madison. These 2 movies right here, back to back. You could put them both in the great tier. There's a reason why his production company is called Happy Madison Films. It's because of the success of these 2 movies. This is how I first found Adam Sandler. I found out about him being on Saturday Night Live after the fact, obviously because of my age. So the first time I ever saw this guy was in Billy Madison, and that is a great movie. And so is Happy Gilmore. Both of them are classic comedies. And I'd give the edge personally to Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore. I still quote that movie every single day. I mean, the Ben Stiller cameo in that movie is just one of the best cameos you'll ever see in a film. I mean, I don't even think he gets credited, and it's great. He's in there. He's like, the little lady walks up to him. Oh, my fingers hurt. Oh, well, now your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty. Does anyone else's fingers hurt? You know that Mister lady? Yeah, I think I just killed her. And then the great Carl's Weather stuff. I mean, not that Billy Madison isn't a classic as well. I used to when I was a kid love that movie. I know it's still a favorite of my wife's. And that one's hysterical too. I mean, it obviously makes no sense how a billionaire's son, and they call it right out of the movie, can just go back to college and put. Do you think it's a good idea to put, uh, what is it, Madison Hotel's entire company and 61,000 employees just gamble their entire lives on a bet? And he's just like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? And believes in him, believes in his son. 8 Crazy Nights is your favorite? Good call. Let's see what Accuracy Movie says. reteam Brendan Fraser and Adam Sandler again, I would love to see it. Love to see it. But after those two great movies, what does he do? He does Bulletproof. Now, this is one I'm going to go with good. I don't know. This is actually what's funny because Ernest Dickerson directed this movie, who was the cinematographer on most of Actually, I think he's the cinematographer on all but one of Spike Lee's films until Malcolm X in 1992. He's even the cinematographer on that. And then Ernest Dickerson became a director himself, and he directed Juice in 1992 as well. I love Juice. Then he followed up. I believe he did Bulletproof. I don't remember if he did Tales from the Crypt before that or Bulletproof, but he also did the Crazy Tales from the Crypt movie in the 90s. But Bulletproof is fantastic. I think him and David Wayans have great chemistry. And then, of course, you'll have James Caan in that movie. Jimmy Caan, ridiculous. Do you own his entire filmography on Blu-ray? No, I don't, actually, which is very disappointing. Actually, I've been waiting. I think Happy Gilmore, Wedding Singer was great. Well, funny enough, Secular Monk. That is my favorite Adam Sandler film. So we'll get to that in a second. I love that. But yeah, I think Bulletproof was a great buddy comedy. After Bulletproof, he did 1998. He did The Wedding Singer. He didn't write this one, but The Wedding Singer, I think, is his best film. That one goes into the great tier for me as well. That's the first time that he teamed up with Drew Barrymore, showing off the two of them having just great chemistry. Great, just they worked so well together, and they're such a cute couple. Taking place in the 1980s. So many great jokes in this movie. This is where you kind of start seeing him team up with his buddies who pop up in like Grandma's Boy, which is a very underrated comedy done by his production company, straight to DVD movie that, you know what, deserved more love because who doesn't love Grandma's Boy? But this movie itself, so they were cones. Yeah, buddy, why don't you go get drunk and drive home? And then Dirty Work. Dirty Work is a great movie. Norm Macdonald is so good in Dirty Work. What did he do after he did The Wedding Singer and Dirty Work? Right there, he plays Satan. I mean, I put that, that's a glorified cameo as well. That's not really. So most of those put that because the movie itself is great. We'll put that in the good tier just because his performance is, small. But The Waterboy, and I've heard stories about, this really just being a total, like, this is his film. Henry Winkler even like said on the set of it, like when he's wearing the high heels, that's all Adam Sandler's ideas. And like, Henry Winkler being the great actor that he is just like, hey, I'm your vessel. Whatever you want me to do, I'm going to do it. And that's why he does that. And he does a great job. I think the movie, that's some high quality H2O. It's very juvenile, very stupid, but man, I still love it. You can do it. That all started there. That's all. Best line from The Wedding Singer. Do you like Flock of Seagulls? No, but I can tell that you do. Oh, man. Steve Buscemi's great in that movie, too, just right in the beginning. I got feelings, too, Dad. I got feelings, too. I love him in that. A lot of people don't realize Bob Saget was the director, and he has nothing like father. Yeah, well, it's funny. Yeah, I always knew that he directed that. But yeah, believe it or not, Bob Saget's really his line of comedy was much, much darker. And so is David Coulier, I believe, too. There's clips you can look at him like basically when they're not like in front of the camera. Much darker stuff. And hey, it works. I'm glad we got Dirty Work. I knew you'd love Dirty Work. Yeah, Dirty Work is like right up my alley. Norm Macdonald actually has my favorite part in Billy Madison. When they're on the news talking about billionaire's son gets caught cheating in school, and then he's like, wait a second, maybe it is somebody else. Like it could possibly be somebody else. Oh man. Oh, let's see what actors and movies make Airheads too. Maybe they take over a satellite radio station. Possible. I think you have to go the podcasting route now, though. That's really like the new talk radio is podcasting. I mean, and even like music in general, like you could have shows, better actor, Adam Sandler or Al Pacino. Let's be honest here. Adam Sandler. No, I'm just kidding. It's obviously Al Pacino, but Adam Sandler does not get the love he deserves as far as being an actor, in my opinion. After The Waterboy, I remember specifically seeing Big Daddy in theaters in 1999 and loving the movie to this very day. It's a great one. It's one of my favorites. I'll always love. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's still very heartwarming. This guy saying that Sony Colfax is basically just living off. He got hit by a freaking mail truck. He's been living off that. He works one day a week at a toll booth. He's got a nothing life. His girlfriend obviously leaves him, But that leads to one of the best lines in the movie too, when like he finds out that she's been seeing another guy. It's this old guy, and he's like, "What's he?" She's like, "He's got a 5-year plan." And Adam Sandler's like, "What is it? Don't die." And his wrinkly balls, like I just juvenile stuff, but it all works so fucking funny in that movie. Lisa Mann, that's one of the first times at least that was probably the first time I ever saw her. Big Daddy, that's gonna go into the water boy. I put in the great tier. I think that's one of his best. This one also goes in the great tier. This is like really when Adam Sandler was firing on all cylinders. All of his movies were great. This is a great point. The movie that Adam Sandler wasn't very good though. Yeah, Jack and Jill. We'll talk about that in a second. I still just did there a huge grin on my face during Christmas when Sandler sings the Hanukkah song. Yeah, it's time for Hanukkah, so grab your harmonica. Yeah, I love it. Every version of it. If Adam Sandler want to do a live show with you, what would you say? I would say absolutely. Obviously, Adam Sandler would never want to do a live show with little old me. Adam Sandler, from what I know, though, one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. It'd be cool. It'd be cool. Adam Sandler, which is rather. But yeah, we're gonna put both of these films in the great tier. Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo. Like, this isn't really his film. I don't know if Happy Madison produced the first one. Little Nicky from 2000. Who doesn't love Little Nicky? I mean, probably a lot of people based on the reviews, but Little Nicky is still fantastic in my opinion. Popeye's Chicken is fucking awesome. One of the rare times when Quentin Tarantino showed that he can, actually act. As the freaking priest, the blind priest, he's freaking hysterical in that movie. Yeah, he is a very good basketball player, and he's in the basketball movie we'll actually talk about. But yeah, he's a big, big basketball fan. Still loves to play basketball to this very day. This is a good question. This is a good one thing I do love is how down to earth Adam Sandler is in real life. His cameo at the Oscars this year was funny. Best part of the entire Oscars was him this year. Just that's how he dresses. He is who he is. You got to love that, respect that. Seems like the kind of guy you walk up to, hang out with, have a beer with. I've heard so many nice stories about the guy, and you got to respect that. He just likes to go hang out with his friends. Like, even if you don't like his movies, you got to respect the person, and that's something for me that always stands out. Chalamet! That was the best. He directed a movie about it. It was actually pretty good. About a Europe. Yeah, that's the movie on Netflix. One of his better at Netflix, Alan. Yeah, he needs some of his movies. I wish he needs some of his movies. Not all of them. They can, we'll talk about it. Right now, we're still in the heyday here in 2000. Little Nicky is still one of those. I'll put that. I remember a guy whose favorite movie was actually Little Nicky. We'll put that in the good tier. Joe Dirt, cameo. Don't really want to count it. I never saw this. The Concert for New York City. I don't imagine that's anything. The Animal from 2001. Great movie from Rob Schneider. I really like The Animal. If you never seen a human who gets surgery, then of course becomes part animal, which makes him a better cop because he was a terrible cop. So let's see. Moving on down. Mr. Smelly Potato said, Jack and Jill is one of the worst movies, right up there with Die Hard 5. Might be worse than Die Hard 5, but yeah, they're really, really close in my opinion as well. Moving on down, 2002, Punch Drunk Love. I love Punch Drunk Love. This goes into the great tier. Absolutely. One of his best movies. Definitely gets to show off the acting chops a little bit, show that he can be more than just a comedic, even though it's a comedic, but it's like a dramedy performance. I also love, if you guys saw my 4K Blu-ray review of this, that it's based on the Denise skit from SNL, which is one of my favorite Saturday Night Live skits of all time. Absolutely love that. All this talking, man, it was making me lightheaded and coughing a lot. Sorry, guys. Hopefully it's not a distraction for you guys, but one of my old high school classmates was in Punch Drunk Love with Sandler. Really? That's awesome. Yeah, Punch Drunk Love, it's such a good movie. It's not my favorite PTA movie. It's a tight 90-minute rom-com done in the PTA Anderson way. The score is great, and Adam Sandler throughout the entire thing is fantastic. Really wish, it led to more dramatic stuff, but people just don't appreciate it, and that's a shame. Mr. Deeds is a movie that they do appreciate more than that. Mr. Deeds, though, I'm a Jet fan, guys, and I love Mr. Deeds. That one goes in the great tier for me. It's very, very dumb, but little scene in that movie that'll get me to laugh every single time when he fires the QB of the team because of the way he speaks, and then like his father calls him up, the guy from 51st Dates and the Water Boy, and he tells him, he's like, I just didn't appreciate how he spoke to the women, like using foul language like that, because Mr. Deeds comes from a small town in New Hampshire, I believe, and everyone knows each other, respects each other. And he hangs up the phone with him, and he goes to his son, who's a millionaire quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And he's like taking his belt off, and he's like, "Did you use foul language in front of the women?" And he's like, "No, Daddy, no." Oh, Jets. Yeah. Well, I love my Jets, but the Jets clearly hate me. Uh, my stack of unwatched films is shameful. PTL is in there. Yeah, forget it. I have lists and stacks of movies. I hate it. I mean, what happens is I set myself up for why I have so much unwatched films. It's like I'm like right now we're going to be doing a show in June about all of William Friedkin's movies. We're going to be doing that live. Me and David are doing a show about Steven Spielberg. So I'm watching a bunch of Spielberg movies. Meanwhile, I got movies like Irreversible I've been dying to watch for so long. And yeah, I don't feel too bad. We all got these lists of movies. There's just not enough time in the day for all of us to watch. And I believe me, it's not just you. It's all of us out here. We all have so much movies we have to get to. Do you own more movies than your brother? Well, I have three brothers, and I think combined, take all the movies of all three of my brothers, you'll probably end up with about five. So yeah, I own more movies than any of my brothers. My brothers do not. Like my brother Ryan cares about movies a little bit, but mostly superhero and Stallone movies. Like that's where my brother Ryan goes. My other two brothers, Frankie and Larry, I don't think they can give a shit. So those are the two, but they love video games. So, and you know what? They're my brothers. I love them. So I don't really care. Master of Disguise. I forgot that he was even in that. Eight Crazy Nights, one of the most underrated animated comedies, definitely just animated films in general. I personally have always loved Eight Crazy Nights. Hanukkah never gets the appreciation it deserves. I think that's probably the best Hanukkah film of all time. Ironically, my nickname at my job, my last two jobs, has been Whitey. You guys can figure out why by looking at me. Low hanging fruit, in my opinion, but hey, it works. Yeah, Nicholson is retired, sadly, at this point. I don't think he's ever coming back. Am I the oldest brother? Haunted Pillowcase asks. Yeah, I am. I am the oldest one. I have one brother where we have the same parents, and then my parents got divorced in 1996. They both started second families, yada yada yada. So, like my dad, I have a sister and brother on that side. Then I have another brother from my mom's second marriage. My mom, big fan of divorce, is divorced again, but it's all right. That's the way she goes sometimes. Not marriage isn't for everybody, but Eight Crazy Nights for me that goes into the great tier. Moving on down, like these are A Day with the Meatball. I don't even know what the hell that is. The Hot Chick. I didn't even realize he was in that. Really enjoy The Hot Chick though. Another Rob Schneider vehicle. Also, I believe Anna Faris was great in that. That's a great movie. It's stupid. Another stupid movie, but it's great. Pauly Shore is Dead. Like these are cameos. Stupidity, Couch, Anger Management. Now, I don't know if I'd put this in the great tier, but I'll put it in the good tier. Him and Jack Nicholson actually surprisingly have great chemistry as well. Jack Nicholson, willing to show off his comedic chops whenever he can. And surprisingly, he just goes for it in this movie. I love the twist of it being like just one big ploy to like break this guy out of his shell. One of the first and not only times you see that, Adam Sandler gets girlfriends that are just way too good looking for him in this movie. I'm so pretty. Like singing on the highway is ridiculous. Do I think Adam Sandler could direct a movie? I don't know. I don't know if that's even something that he envisions himself doing. He could clearly write a movie. Look how many of these are his screenplays. And I've heard like he's like, I just think it's all about the camera shots. I think he's more focused on delivering the lines that are written down, getting people to get in that kind of place, while he would rather have a director do, directors got to be in charge of more than just the actors. Like I think that's what a lot of people kind of lose focus on. They're in charge of everything. They're the boss. I think there's more to it. I don't know if he's like kind of interested in that. Has he ever done stand up? Yeah. Adam Sandler's done plenty of stand ups. You can go watch some of that stuff. He kind of incorporates music into his stand ups, but there's some right there on Netflix right now, pretty recently. Oh my God. If my doctor was watching me right now, I'd be very upset. And let's see, Dickie Roberts, former child star. I saw Dickie Roberts in the theater, and that movie starring David Spade, pretty good. I don't think I've revisited it since. 50 First Dates. I'm not gonna lie, love 50 First Dates. I put that in the great tier. One of my personal favorites, him and Drew Barrymore. Clearly, I had a thing with him and Drew Barrymore teaming up. This poor girl repeats the same day every day, and her whole family's kind of in on it. Sean Astin on steroids is great with that lisp. Just perfect casting. Love them in that movie. The Reese's and Spam thing is just something that spoke to me, and it's a heartwarming love story. When you really start thinking about it, you're like, it's a little ridiculous how every day. I mean, it's a heartwarming story. Like one guy's so in love with this girl, he's willing to sacrifice the rest of his life to make sure this girl is Spanglish. We're getting to that one. Oh man. Yep, here it is, Spanglish right here. Now, where would I put Spanglish? I put in the good tier. That one, that's another one where he gets to show off his dramatic chops a little bit more. Beautifully shot movie too. That was one thing that stood out to me. Are you a good actor or a great director, John? Well, I don't do either. I think if given the shot, I could be a pretty good actor, but who's giving me the shot, right, guys? Apparently, there's another guy named Adam Sandler that has directed over 950 episodes of The Price is Right. You have to make a joke about that if you ever meet our Adam. I'll be like, oh my God, Adam Sandler, the guy who's directed over 950 episodes of The Price is Right. I love that show. Me and my grandmother used to watch that every single day when I was growing up until she died. Oh my God, that's how you do that. Actually, when I met Kevin Smith and Jay, what's his name? I actually said to them because we were on a cruise together. I was like, I was nice to finally meet the second and third best looking guys on the boat. They chuckled. I don't know if they thought it was any funnier. Well, any of them, Bob Barker. Oh, Bob Barker. No, I've never met Bob Barker. I have met, believe it or not, I see him all the time. I always tell David, aka Shamrock Balls, this, but I always see Ralph Macchio. We live in the same town. Well, he lives the next town over. He lives in the rich town. I live in a bungalow, so but ironically, he comes into my job currently now, and he used to come into my old job. But next up, after Spanglish, is The Longest Yard remake from 2005, and this one, how a movie isn't necessarily that great, but it means something to you because of when you saw it. So great day in theaters for me in 2005. If anyone from PJ Cinemas is watching this, my local theater that I still go to, I apologize, but I was 13 years old in 2005. And me and my cousin Matt, who used to run this channel with me, we bought tickets to go see The Longest Yard. Sold out. So we bought tickets and we're like, oh, we'll hang out in the parking lot. We told them until the movie starts 5 hours later. Well, we went inside and we ended up seeing Star Wars Episode 3. Then we watched Madagascar. Then we ended the night with The Longest Yard, which I absolutely adored. Uh, Episode 3 is still the better of the three movies, but that day I loved it. Had a great time in the theater. Still one of my favorite movie theater experiences is experiencing those three movies back to back to back. Episode 3 was the best of them. It's the one I still revisit, but I had a couple of good laughs. Like I said, back in 05, I was a huge Adam Sandler fan. I went to go see this movie for Adam Sandler. It's nowhere near as good as the 1970s version of The Longest Yard, but hey, at least it exists, right? And it gave me a great memory. My daughter's doesn't believe you about Ralph. I'm gonna have to get a picture of it one day. Worst case, I'll get Faith to get a picture because she's more approachable than me. I don't want to scare him off. Do you want all his movies on Blu-ray? I do not. Ralph Macchio, the thing is when he comes into like either my job or my wife's job, he comes in very early in the morning. He's always wearing a Jets hat, so I know the poor guy's a Jets fan, and he's wearing sunglasses. He doesn't really he talks to us because we're there to help him, but you can clearly tell the guy does not want to be bothered. I remember though years ago, my coworker asked because he was getting a book. Her grandson was doing a book report, and he brought in a signed photo of him for the book report to help her out because he asked. So, that was kind of nice of him. So I know I'm sure if I approached him, but hey, I don't like to approach people I know. Imagine me approaching Ralph Macchio and be like, hey, buddy, can you just take a picture of me? I guess he had a cameo on Deuce Bigelow, European Gigolo, and Grandma's Boy. I already told you guys I love that. The Bench Warmers. Oh, man, that's a pretty bad movie that I don't love. Click, though. Click from 2008. I think that movie is good. It doesn't have the right balance of tone throughout the entire film, but I still think that Click is a very good movie. So we'll put that one in the good tier. Very sad on the third act. And really just the messaging of it is great. Experience life. Don't try to run through every moment, even though it sucks. Like, we all have to go to work every day, and we probably, I mean, Severance is asking these questions now, but Click was asking these questions. Yeah, there's a lot of downtime in life that you don't really enjoy it, but don't just try and rush through it. Enjoy that. Enjoy the people around you. Love the people around you. It's a simple message. I think Click did a pretty good job of telling that story, in my opinion, and it's one of the more underrated ones. That's understandable, John. I think it's a fair reason, but if I can, I'll get it. That is the price of fame. You have money, but that money comes with a lot of notoriety. Yeah, and you can clearly, and that's one thing I've always thought about. I think everybody, when they're growing up, wants fame, but it's the classic thing from Jurassic Park. I mean, this line, I just think about it all the time. Ask if you could, but you never ask if you should. Like, we always think, like, oh man, if I could do that, I would do that, right? But you never think, should I do that? Not every person is the same. Not everybody is built for the famous life. You can see these people who do get famous, and like they were more committed to the art than the actual life of fame, like guys like Kurt Cobain, like who aren't into the limelight of like that kind of life. But as fans, we kind of say to those people, like, then don't be in this business. And that is the simple answer. But I don't know. It's tough. Like, how would we feel if we were in their shoes, right? Would we be comfortable being in the limelight like that? I personally don't think I could. I have a hard time, like, with YouTube fame, and it's not even famous. I only have less than 5,000 subscribers, but I personally like to respond to everybody. It's impossible almost like with that. And I can only imagine like when you're trying to just go to the supermarket. Like I heard Michael Jordan stories about him, like him, Michael Jackson, like just trying to experience a regular life. Like they used to have to go to the supermarket like after it closed just to try food shopping. Like it's a different kind of life. They experience it very differently. And like, yeah, we all recognize them. We're jealous of them, but should we always be jealous? Like I know I personally like my privacy. I like my alone time. I like that I can live in a neighborhood where I don't have to worry about somebody like coming after me. I can walk down the block with my dog, and like that's stuff that we might take for granted, and we might not even realize it, right? If you just want to be left alone, yeah, exactly. That's kind of probably a celebrity, John. I do not consider myself a celebrity. People want the money and to be noticed, but I think it doesn't. I think most people don't realize that your life isn't your own if you're famous. And yeah, and that's kind of like what it comes down to. Like, I don't know how you guys personally feel about that. Do you feel like I hear it all the time? Like when, like, for example, like LeBron James, like he's a very decisive figure. But just as an example, just think of him as any actor. But like when they start talking about their political beliefs or their personal beliefs, like, now that's it. You put that out there and you open yourself up to criticism. And do you think those people are being fairly criticized? But the answer is simple. Like, I think I kind of agree with David. Like, when you are that famous, you kind of lose your ability to have that private life. You can't really have it both ways. You can't ask the people to like come out and support you every single day and then not be willing to put in the work to support your fans. Like, uh, then if you can't handle it, you got to step away from that life. Like, these are questions you have to ask yourself. I mean, it just seems like it's a great life, but is it? Being super wealthy but having total anomaly would be so cool. You just get to roam around and doing whatever, and nobody has to know any wiser. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that are that rich. I would definitely not be one of these people that has all this money. I think they just get bored. That's my real true belief, is that they just get bored. It's funny you mentioned Kurt Cobain. I live near his home. There's a park there named after him. Oh, that's awesome. John's the most famous person I know. Well, thank you, David. I don't think I'm that famous. Make hackers too. We should make hackers too. Got a little off topic. Where are we, by the way? We just did Clay. Rain Over Me. Another great dramatic performance. I think that also has Don Cheadle in it, if I remember. I only saw that movie once, the 9/11 movie. Very good movie. He's good in it. I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. Saw that in theaters. That movie does not hold up well at all. We're going to put that one in the, what do we have that? I don't know if I can quite put that. Yeah, we'll put that just in the bad tier. I don't know if it shouldn't exist, but we'll put that in the bad tier. Strange Wilderness. Now, I love Strange Wilderness. I don't even remember him in it. You Don't Mess with the Zohan. Pretty good movie. I'll put that one in the good tier. The House Bunny, didn't even realize he was in it. Bedtime Stories, don't remember. Paul Blart Mall Cop. Pretty good movie. I didn't remember it. Funny People. Now, this is like a good dramedy with him and Seth Rogen. I'm gonna put that in the good tier. That was like really a good combination. I remember that one they were promoting like Seth Rogen. I remember he lost the weight for that around the Green Hornet. It was a big deal at the time, that movie between him and Adam Sandler. I was excited that Seth Rogen, because I was a big Seth Rogen fan at the time. Uh, Same with Zohan, the bad tier. So at least I'm not alone with that one. But yeah, so when this movie came, I was super excited. It's another one that struggles with tone throughout the entire movie, and just the way it feels like it doesn't quite get the right balance of comedy and drama. I think it needed a little bit more comedy, and I don't really like how they end that movie and the route they choose to go with Adam Sandler's character. I feel like it's kind of betraying the audience a little bit. I remember walking out a little bit disappointed, but our rewatch, the acting is really good, and kind of knowing how it goes makes it better, in my opinion. So I would definitely give that one on the good tier. That was 2009. Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting sad remembering 2009 and everything like that. The shortcut. Grown ups, I'm gonna put. This one might be a little bit surprising. I know a lot of people love grown ups. Grown ups, I think, is pretty bad in my opinion. That's one where this is where he just like starts to hang out with his buddies, and I'm not too into it. Just go with it. I actually Joe, just go there. I'm gonna put in the good tier just because this is my wife's second date. We went to go see Just Go With It. I told you guys my wife's a big Adam Sandler fan, Jennifer Aniston, and we had a great time with this movie. We had a bunch of laughs, and eventually we got married. And I'm gonna just put that to go. Totally agree, John. Everyone deserves a level of privacy, but I hate seeing celebs denying fans as an autograph or photo. They are the ones that cause they are there because of the fans, but people shouldn't harass them. Yeah, there is a fine line. There's a time and place to ask, but look at them. If they're walking down the street in the morning with a cup of coffee, like maybe don't run up to them. But like, hey, they're out in public, they got nothing in their hands, and you see them, and you just want to walk up and say, hey, I love your work. The proper thing to respond with is, thank you. I appreciate that. Not be like, and you haven't left since, John. No, no, probably not. I'm stoned right now, John. I'm happy for you, haunted pillowcase. I'm a big 420 supporter. Like, you're not gonna get any negativity about that when it comes to weed. Don't you worry. Which, funny enough, I guess I can announce this. Speaking of which, for next week's live show. Oh, what's up, Frank's here? What's up, Frank from Frank's Media Reviews? What's up, buddy? Glad you can make it, or at least stop in here. Always happy to see Frank. Frank's a good friend of mine, has one of the best YouTube channels around. So make sure you guys are subscribed to Frank's Media Reviews if you are not. Is Grown Ups the one with Shaq? Yes, it is. Yes, Grown Ups is not a great movie. But yeah, so next week, what I'm going to do is, because I can't do a live show the next 2 Saturdays, is next Sunday, which is Easter Sunday. It also is a triple header of a holiday. It's also 420 and WrestleMania. So that morning, it's also Hitler's birthday for people who care about that. That sounds like the worst thing about that day. So anyway, I'm gonna do a live show from 8:30 to 10, I think, next week, right before Let's Talk Physical Media comes out at 10 a.m. Just kind of hanging out. We'll talk about some good stoner comedies. We'll talk about night one of WrestleMania, Easter movies. We'll do the whole shebang next Sunday morning, if you can make it. The trifecta. Can I get your autograph? I mean, hey, you could always get my autograph. There's been very few people who have recognized me out in the real world, so no one's ever asked me for an autograph. The only people who've ever recognized me have been at Best Buy anyway. That makes sense, though. you know, People who work at Best Buy or in Best Buy, those are my people. Uh, it's my brother's birthday too. Makes sense. Him and Hitler. I am not telling your brother what you just said to him. You compare your brother to Hitler. I mean, I think we could agree, most of us, that Hitler is, as far as humanity goes, I don't know if he's the worst, but he's in the conversation as the worst human ever. Like, that's rare company. Not many of us can get there. It's my youngest B day too. She's turning 4. So happy birthday to your daughter. Congratulations to your brother, David. Hitler too, I guess. That's awesome. I mean, a lot of stuff. I'm trying to make sure I remember that next Sunday. Yeah, so next Sunday I'm going to do that. Just do a live stream for you guys. We'll just hang out and talk. My Best Buy doesn't sell movies anymore. Yeah, no one's does, sadly, buddy. So is my brother. You guys, man, that's messed up. Zookeeper, I don't remember Zookeeper, but I don't think we'll put that in there. Bucky Larson, here's we go. This one, Jack and Jill 2011, should not exist. This movie is horrible. That's the one that Al Pacino dances to Dunkachino. He plays twins, a boy and a girl. Oh, atrocious. That's my boy. That's my boy. I saw it in theaters. That movie, all right. I like it. I don't think it's the worst movie ever. is also the day that Trump could declare martial law, depending on who you talk to. I have heard that. We'll see what happens when it comes to that. Wasn't Hitler hardest in his younger years? Yeah, I think he drew actually German Shepherd pictures, if I'm correct, German Shepherd paintings. Jack's back from seeing Minecraft again. It's such a bad movie, but I couldn't stand Jack Black's acting, but my girls absolutely loved it. But that's what it's all about, Frank. It's really about your daughters, right? As long as they're having a blast. Like that's not I don't have kids, so I have no reason to go to the theater, but I've heard from a lot of parents, including yourself, whose kids are loving Minecraft. And honestly, that's who it's really about. That movie's about making sure that the kids are happy. And not every movie is supposed to be for everybody, guys. You know, 4 quadrant films are for everybody. That movie is geared towards, kids, young teens, preteens and teenagers, people who grew up with that stuff. And you want those people to be having fun at that movie. And if they are, that's all a good. Frank, is Sony a good brand? Darkroom Reviews wants to know, buddy. You got to make sure. If personally, I think Sony is a good TV brand, not the greatest, a good one. Maybe some Best Buys do, but I don't. Let's see. Disruptions? What are we talking about? Any popcorn throw? Yeah, Frank, did the popcorn get thrown around with the monkey thing going on? I hope not. I hope you didn't get hit in the face with anything. If you were given a giant blimp, what movie would you want? Ooh, that's a good question. Jack and just so that's my boy. I'm gonna put in the bad tier, but I'm not gonna lie. I didn't hate my time with that the first time I saw it, but I was actually just going to see that movie to kill time while my wife took a test. Hotel Transylvania, that one will go in the good tier. Here Comes the Boom. Didn't know he was in it. Grown Ups 2. I'm gonna put that in the bad tier. I know people like it. Blended, we'll put that in the good tier. Top 5. That was the Chris Rock movie, right? I mean, that movie I remember being pretty good. Remember that? Look how many movies this guy does, by the way. At least just like popping up in movies for his friends, like Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. That should not exist though. Joe Dirt 2, Beautiful Loser. He's the cameo in that. Also should not exist. Pixels, bad, very bad, bad movie. Pixels, and I hate that because it has everything that should be a good movie for me. Moving on down, I Am Chris Farley. Like I love that documentary, Chris Farley. Man, it always makes me sad because what could have been with him. Hotel Transylvania 2 is good. The Ridiculous Six, that's one sadly, in my opinion, should not exist. The Do Over, that one, bad. Sorry. Sandy Wexler. I remember being on, is this 2017, right? Yeah, I remember being on my honeymoon and watching the trailer for this and being like, oh, that movie looks pretty good. It wasn't. It was bad. So like, all these movies, this one actually, the Meyerowitz Stories, no idea what that is. I never even heard of that. Puppy. What is this? This must be some kind of short. The Week of. I never saw that either. Hotel Transylvania 3. These are all good, but again, those are movies we talk about. Those are directed at the families, and they're pretty good. I don't think they ever hit like top tier animation or anything, like, but they are definitely cool for like people who are fans that have families or anything. Murder Mystery. Me and my wife actually enjoyed this movie. Him and Jennifer Aniston teaming back up again. A real true life friend to him. We'll put that one in the good tier. Uncut Gems. I'm going to put this one in the great tier. I think this is one of his best movies, in my opinion. It's an anxiety attack the entire way through, but his performance is one of the best of his career. Like I said, it should have won him not have won an Academy Award, but he should have got nominated that year. I don't think he should have won. The Wrong Missy. I never saw that one. Hubie Halloween. Now, this was actually a good time, in my opinion. It's not a great movie. It's getting a sequel, but around Halloween, that's one that's definitely worth checking out. Deserved an Oscar. I couldn't agree more. He really got the shaft on that just for being a comedic actor. That's the only reason things went wrong. Home Team. Now, that's the movie where actually, I don't even know. That's not the movie I'm thinking of. Norm Macdonald, R.I.P. Norm. Hustle. That's the movie where he plays the executive, and that movie that's a very good movie. Murder Mystery 2 though, so I'll put Hustle in the good. Murder Mystery 2, I never actually watched that one. My wife watched it on her own. Probably not great. The Outlaws, on the other hand, my wife watched this one. She said it was good. I didn't even realize he was in that. Oh, you were so not invited to my bar mitzvah. Forgot about this movie. That was a cute little movie. It starred his wife and daughter, and I thought that was pretty good. Do I like ice cream? Yeah, I love ice cream, but me and ice cream do not always get along. It's terrible for you, but I love ice cream. I love all sweets, so it's a problem. Leo, I never saw. Spaceman, didn't see that either. And Kind of Pregnant, haven't seen that yet. Happy Gilmore 2 is the one we're looking forward to. So that's my tier rankings for Adam Sandler films. That took a lot longer than I was anticipating. We still got a few more questions I would like to answer this week, but hey, that was a great question. Let's see. Starting. Trying to get to your questions. Sandler's career kind of reminds me of the way that Jim Carrey is. Both great comedic actors who were really good in dramatic roles, but were never really celebrated for them. Yeah, no, they both really weren't celebrated for their for their dramatic roles, which is a shame because Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, The Truman Show are some of the best performances that Jim Carrey ever did, and Adam Sandler. And they spread them out too. It's funny when Jim Carrey goes back to the well, like in the Sonic movies, and goes back to what works. It's like, oh, it's like a return to form. But I don't know. I would love to see him like come back to what he used to do, like do some more stuff. Haunted Hill. Thanks, John. No problem, buddy. Sony is very good for movies. I think the Sony's colors, as far as TV goes, were some of the best. Fun list. Thanks. I appreciate it, Accuracy Some Movies. Thank you so much. And let me just, I want to make sure I answer some, this question right here from Uncle Charlie. Do you think kids, let's say between the ages of, let's say 8 to 12 should watch R-rated movies such as Halloween, Scream, Child's Play, etc.? Do you think it will do any psychological damage to them? You know, I mean, I don't know if I guess I'm fine, right? I watched a lot of horror movies when I was a kid. I had never a restriction on ratings on movies. My parents just did not care. So I saw like movies like Poltergeist really traumatized me. I should not have saw that movie when I was 6 years old. It fucked me up. But as an adult now, I'm not maybe I'm a little desensitized because of that stuff, but I feel like I'm just more desensitized as like most of humanity is because of the technology and cell phones around us. I don't think necessarily it's because I watched movies at too young of an age that I probably shouldn't have been watching. Do I think kids should be watching? I think my parents didn't do a great job with that. I think they should have been monitoring me a little bit more. No popcorn throwing. My theater wasn't crazy. Oh, that's good to hear. I'm glad that it wasn't. Too bad Jim Carrey will never act again. He was just in Sonic 3. I hope he at least comes back for something more than just Sonic movies, but he said that he needed the money. So, I mean, that sometimes will get people out of bed to act a little bit more. Look at Nicolas Cage and how many direct to DVD movies he was in. The big reason was because he just needed the money. The guy had to buy. Did he buy like a dinosaur skeleton or something insane like that? Nicolas Cage is just an owl. Let's see. Should they delay all the time? Very surprised at some of the movies that my students tell me that they have seen. Yeah, what kind of movies are the younger generation? I always try and ask, like, I work with people who are like 18, 19, 20 years old, like, and they were going like to the movies tonight, and they were going to see the new none of them were going to see Warfare, which surprised me. Should kids watch a Serbian film? Absolutely not. Adults shouldn't watch a Serbian film. Any advice for boosting watch hours? Live streams, buddy. If you need to like boost your watch hours to get monetized, live streams are really good because on rewatches, think about it. If you go for like an hour, people go and they'll rewatch it for like an hour. Long form videos are always the best way. Short videos are really hard to get your hours up, man, because like ideally they might get more views, but think about it. You have a video that goes for an hour, one view. If somebody watches that entire thing for an hour, that's going to get a full hour for you. You get 10 views and somebody only watches 2 minutes of it. You only got 20 minutes on something like that. So I think a live stream might be good to help you out. He has become Rodnick now that maybe. Oh, well, very, very possible. I have worked with fourth graders who have Nightmare on Elm Street and Halloween as their favorite films. Really? So my only theory on that would be their parents are probably showing them. I'm pretty surprised at that because I feel like parents nowadays with how technology is, I thought they'd be like more in tune like with what they show their kids. Like when I grew up, and I'm sure when a lot of you guys grew up, you only found out things that you saw in the news. It was in the infancy of like the internet, and my parents were definitely not on the internet until like after me, especially maybe with my brothers and sisters, but definitely not with me. So whatever they heard, and like they just kind of they had me young too, so they were kind of winging it. So I just thought that parents nowadays with the world of technology, like they're just following like directly like a book of like how to parent your kids, and they're not going to be showing them that dark stuff like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, I'm proud to hear it, but I'm just very, very surprised. I don't think it will do psychological damage. I've never been one of those people that like I don't think violent video games create violent people. It just doesn't logically. I played violent video games. I'm the least violent person you'll ever meet. So it doesn't make any sense to me in that sense. I think, the argument of nature versus nurture, I get all of that. And it plays a big part in how people behave. But Do I think movies are a cause of that? No, and not in my opinion. But hey, that's just my opinion. I wouldn't show R-rated movies to kids. Wait until they're in their teens. Yeah, I mean, personally, like again, I don't have kids, so I don't know. I can't tell people what to do. When I watched Thanksgiving at a theater, a man and a woman brought their little kids with them. That is crazy. Now, you also got to remember kids go into things with the innocence, and a lot of stuff will go over their head. Like I remember seeing like The Mask and Dumb and Dumber, and plenty of stuff that just went completely over my head that didn't even register with me because I was too busy laughing at other stuff that I realized as an adult, like, wow, I probably shouldn't have been watching this movie, but it didn't even register with me, and I didn't even really care. So, does it really matter? Like, I really feel like it's up to the parent. Whatever they feels best for their kid. At least in my, they're the ones who are going to be taking their kids to the theater, so whatever they feel is best. Every kid's different. Hopefully, parents know their children. Like, I can't really say. I'm not a father, so I can't be giving any parently advice to anyone because why would you take it from me? One time they asked if they could watch Predator if they finished their work. I kept my laughter and said no. Nice try though. Yeah, I mean that's gonna get you in a lot more trouble than if you show the Predator. Like, of course you want to see Dutch, and Carl Weathers do the big handshake with their arms. I know every kid's dream is to see that in class, but you can't be showing the kids that. That's just gonna get you fired nowadays, unfortunately. Um, Monte Pilk said, "Movies don't create cycles. Movies make cycles more creative." Right out of Scream. Johnny Balls said, "Do you think it's okay for someone to monkey branch when they are in a relationship?" And to answer that question, no, I do not. If you're in a relationship, stay in your relationship, stay in your lane, stick with the person you're committed to. You guys should be, unless you guys have an open relationship and have some kind of open agreement, then that's on you guys, not necessarily on everybody else. But if the person you're with wants a commitment to you, you make that commitment to them, and at least in my opinion. Again, not a relationship advisor. I don't know if you come. I've been married for 8 years, been with my wife for 15 years. Very happy relationship. We have never branched out in our relationship, and I don't think either of us even have any desire to. So it's worked for us, but again, every relationship is different. If you guys have an open relationship and they're okay with that, then I guess that's fine. But if they don't and you just want to do that, maybe not the best of ideas because you're probably going to hurt their feelings. So I wouldn't recommend it, Johnny Balls. Um, at least in my opinion. So if that was a great question as well. And I know Acris of Movies asked me a couple of questions about like who I would replace. And one question that they asked was who would I replace in Who Framed Roger Rabbit if Bob Hoskins couldn't do that lead role, which he's incredible in. And the only actor I can come up with for around that time was and I guess he might be, I think he should be the perfect age for it, would be Bruce Willis. He had that look to him. He had the voice to him of that time that I felt like he could have played like this sloppy, like washed up, kind of like how he does in why am I drawing a blank? It's getting to the end of the show, guys. This is how I kind of get, and plus my throat is killing me. But I think Bruce Willis around that time had the voice. I was watching Look Who's Talking recently. Like he had that like kind of New York voice to him. I think he would have been perfect in that world of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, at least in my opinion. Quentin Tarantino in his book Cinema Speculation talks about how his parents took him to all sorts of exploitation 70s films as a kid. He would talk about what they'd say in the playground to other kids. Yeah, I know that Tarantino's biggest influences were blaxploitation films because from what I understand, his mother dated a black man, and they went and just see blaxploitation films in theaters. Like his parents would take him there as he was a kid. And you know what? I mean, for us, it's great because we wouldn't have probably ended. And you can clearly see blaxploitation films when you go back and watch them. That influence on Quentin Tarantino when you watch movies, especially in early his career, like mainly in Pulp Fiction, you just see that influence. Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown. It's all right there on the screen. Clearly, a huge influence on his life and thankfully for us, and I mean, those blaxploitation films are great. I didn't see them until I was a adult. What are the question of the week nominees? That is a great question. I'm definitely going to go at Haunted of Pillowcases question of Adam Sandler tier list. Mr. Smelly Potatoes question about things about physical media that we left behind and things that we still love that we got nowadays. And then what's one more that we are going to do? I had this before. And then Kevin Kruger's question of how would you rank the A24 movies? Now, people do want me to start putting names in, I guess, for the questions of the week. Now, as long as you guys are okay with that, I don't know if people like their names printed out, but As long as everyone's okay with that, I can put that for the questions of the week, put their names out there. So Haunted Pillowcase, Kevin Kruger, and Mr. Smelly Potato. I assume if you're watching this, you're okay. His mom dated Will Chamberlain. Jesus Christ, really? I did not know that. But yeah. Um I love doing these live shows, guys. So thank you guys all so much for being here. So I hope you guys are looking forward next Sunday morning. We're gonna, and the reason why I'm actually gonna do this too, another thing, that's a little peek behind the curtain. Might make some little changes to the channel in May that I'm kind of kicking around the ideas, but I was thinking about doing an besides like doing like the two Q&A shows every single month, like on either Saturdays, I was also thinking about doing it every week, like Tuesday morning, like breakfast show, like maybe like from 8:30 to 10 a.m. And that's where we'll do the digital code giveaways. Like that's where we'll reveal the results. Because I feel like the digital code giveaway does sometimes kind of hurt the other videos. So if I feel like if I put like the questions, the digital code giveaway questions out like on Friday in a post on the channel, and then on Tuesdays reveal like the winners during a live show, it won't hurt the regular videos that I put out during the week. YouTube's such a tricky thing, but just kind of things I'm kicking around. Maybe do more live stuff. I love doing this live stuff. I just feel like I have a good time talking to you guys. I hope you guys enjoy this stuff as much as I do. Last couple weeks, though, with bronchitis, definitely not the easiest thing to deal with. But I hope you guys have enjoyed these. I love to do them. I love like when I get David on here. I want to ask Frank to come on here. I told you guys that. So if I can kick around, do some more live stuff, hopefully we can do more of that. Great idea. Yay. Thank you. I'm glad that you think that's a good idea. Do Taco Bell breakfast. You know what's funny, Haunted Pillowcase? I've never had Taco Bell breakfast. As much as a big Taco Bell fan I am, I'm just not the world's biggest breakfast. Like, I love breakfast, but I like the sweets of breakfast. I like French toast and pancakes. And if I'm going to go out of my way to get that, I'm going to go to the International. I'm going to the International House of Pancakes. Or I'm going to go to a diner because I live on Long Island. I'm going to get pancakes there. Sometimes it's kind of hard. Like Taco Bell, yes, their dinner is 5-star cuisine, but I've never had their breakfast and fast food. McDonald's breakfast, I hate McDonald's, but McDonald's breakfast is actually pretty good. But yeah, I could be something we can have breakfast together. Those would be great. Like these are good ideas. Like I don't know if you go, but like I think next week will kind of be. I want to say no, but yes, that is my answer to that. But guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's live show. We'll be back next Sunday, not Saturday night. You guys can send in some questions for that, but really, I want to just try and get people there. We'll do some like stoner comedy rankings and stuff like that. We'll talk about some Easter stuff. Try and watch WrestleMania, guys, next Saturday night. We could talk WrestleMania night one. I think we'll have a good time with it. Thank you guys all so much for being here. It really, truly is an honor. I'm not just saying that. It really is that people just come and watch me and come hang out with me on a Saturday night. Means the world to me, guys. I'm very bad at like thanking people. Like I don't know. I'm like I feel weird, like like that people like me like that. So I just want to thank you guys all so much. I really do appreciate all the support. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Enjoy your days if you're watching this on the replay, and we'll be back next Sunday, guys. Mark it on your calendar for 4/20 Easter. Have a good night, guys. Kevin, Accuracy of Movies, Mr. Smelly Potato, Frank from Frank's Media Reviews, Uncle V. Thank you guys all so much. Good night.